Hey everyone, Mr. DVB here, and welcome to my very first video back from my Europe trip. I've been gone for 3 weeks. I got to see a lot of really cool places and do some really awesome things. I'll have a video up within the next week or so highlighting the stuff I did on that trip, so if you guys are interested in seeing any footage I have of the Swiss Alps or of Harry Potter Warner Studios tour in London where they have actual sets from the movies, then keep your eye out for that video. That'll be up sometime within the next week, like I said. I had a really fun time, but it's nice to be back. You know, it was a hectic trip. We were going to a lot of different countries, I believe 6 or so, in just a very short time span. And 3 weeks, you know, is actually a pretty long time to be away from your cats and your friends in your own bed. So I'm happy to be back, but it was a really cool trip. In today's video, I'll be reviewing 1917, and later on tonight, it'll be up tomorrow though, I will have my top 10 films of 2019 list. So look out for that. Lots and lots of great movies were released last year. It's pretty crazy that we're already on to 2020 now, guys. It's a new decade. I'm graduating this year, so there's lots of things for me to look forward to. And yeah, I waited to do my ranking though before until after seeing this movie because this film is getting a lot of praise. It took home 2 pretty, significant awards at the Golden Globes. Just Best Director and Best, Motion Picture Drama. So yeah, I was like, if it's winning those things, I should wait. So yeah, I did. I will not tell you in this video, though, if it makes it onto the list. You guys will have to wait and see for yourself. But yeah, 1917. This film's directed by Sam Mendes, who has made some really big movies in the past. Skyfall, my favorite, or one of my favorite Bond films at least. Spectre, one of my least favorite Bond films. American Beauty, won Best Picture, Best Director, and I believe a few other Oscars back in 2000. Fantastic film. So this director has got some really big films under his belt. He's made some great films in the past, and I was really looking forward to seeing how he would handle a war film, because one thing that's very present with his direction and action movies is the sense of scale. He does a very good job at just giving you very fun and exciting action sequences that have really good scale to them. A lot of that is, helped out by the fact that he has Roger Deakins doing the cinematography for him. For those of you who do not know who Roger Deakins is, he has done cinematography for the majority of Sam Mendes films, as well as the majority of Denis Villeneuve's films. So if you guys have seen films like Arrival or Blade Runner 2049, that is all Roger Deakins cinematography. And those films are amazingly shot. He won the Oscar in 2018 for Blade Runner, so great cinematographer, and he does an excellent job in this movie. This film is incredibly well shot. It's made to look like it's all one shot, so this entire movie you're just following these characters on their journey, and it's a very interesting way to tell the story, and I thought it was just really, really cool. So this movie was great in that sense. I'm pretty certain this will win cinematography, which is great because Roger Deakins has been nominated like 16 times or something like that, and he only won just 2 years ago for Blade Runner 2049. So for him to have almost 2 back-to-back winners like that's pretty awesome. Did a great job in this movie, so he definitely deserves it with this film. And yeah, I also definitely see this film winning like sound mixing and sound editing or something like that, because they did a really good job with the sound in this film. So yeah, this is definitely going to take home the technical awards this year. Technically, this film was fantastic. What about otherwise? Well, in my opinion, there's many ways you can make a war film, as there's many ways you can make any film. Films that really stand out when it comes to the history of war films, in my opinion, for me, would be films like Apocalypse Now, Dunkirk, Saving Private Ryan. Those are probably the 3 of the best ones, in my opinion. Those films are very different from each other. Apocalypse Now is very much so a character film. Saving Private Ryan is very much so a character film that has lots of depth for the characters, and makes you very emotionally attached to them, as well as giving you just brutally realistic war sequences. Dunkirk was PG-13, so it wasn't, brutal with gore and everything like that, but it still managed to have just a high level of tension all the way throughout, and that movie was just great for its cinematography and, just being an event film. That film was really just an experience. It wasn't about the characters at all, and this film is, again, different from the films I just mentioned. It is its own type of war film. A lot of it is really about these characters' journey, not as much the characters themselves, because you don't get much depth with these characters. This is kind of similar to Dunkirk in the sense where you're kind of just following these characters doing their job. It's not necessarily about, them themselves and how they are reacting to the situation, what their life is like back at home. It's not that kind of movie. It's about just, seeing them on their journey. This film also isn't really about the war that much. Yes, it's set during World War I, and there are sequences with war stuff in them, but that's not the highlight of this movie. A lot of this film is just focused on following these guys getting from point A to point B. And that is obviously, very well accompanied by the cinematography, but I also think it's kind of a slight problem with this movie because it takes away from emotional depth with the characters, because there are times in this film where it's definitely trying to hit you with emotions, and it's trying to really get and pull at your heartstrings and stuff like that, and it didn't entirely work for me just because I didn't feel like the characters were set up enough in this film for those emotions to really kick in, because a lot of this film is, just them doing their things. There's not much time, not much breathing room for them to just sit down and talk to each other. And a lot of that is because this film was so heavily focused on the technical aspects. So I think if this film was a little bit better written from a story standpoint, then I think it really could have been the war masterpiece that I was hoping it would be. But still, it is a technical masterpiece. There's no doubt about that. This is going to win Oscars for all the technical stuff. It was just the other aspects that I was a little bit let down by. The war sequences, they sounded amazing. I saw this in Dolby Atmos, so it was even better sounding. If you guys have a Dolby Cinema near you, I would recommend checking this film out on that. So yeah, the film sounds great. The war sequences are very well handled. It's not a brutal film at all. There's like some moments with blood and stuff like it, but it's pretty much similar to Dunkirk in the sense of how violent it is or whatever. But yeah, I enjoyed the film a lot. The performances were very good, despite the fact that there isn't much dialogue for these characters in the movie. They did a good job with their performances in these high tense moments. I thought the soundtrack by Thomas Newman really helped the movie and its sequences. There's sequences where characters will be running, being shot at, or explosions will be happening behind them, and the score is just so large in scale and so bombastic, really helps accompany what's going on. So the score was fantastic in this film. And just lots of very well done aspects in this movie. So overall, guys, I really enjoyed 1917. Technically, like I said, it's a great movie, and it's going to win Oscars for that stuff. It just didn't really hit home for me with the emotional aspects and the characters and that stuff like that. It's hard to really compare war films since I said they're all made differently. But of the ones I'd mentioned, I would rank this lower than Dunkirk. And definitely lower than Saving Private Ryan. I don't think anything will ever top that movie for me. But yeah, this is still a very good movie. Go check it out. I'm going to give this film a 8 out of 10. Really enjoyed this film overall, and I'll see you guys later. We'll be doing my top 10 list.